driver allegedly denied her a ride because of her size. And Fox News' Jessica Dupnack is live in Detroit with this story. And my goodness, tell us how this all unfolded here, Jessica.
Well, it all unfolded on video. Deja Banlane whipped out her phone when this all happened. Now, the Lyft driver, he was kind enough and apologetic, but refused her a ride and said that she would not fit and that her weight couldn't be handled by his tires. Now she's filing a lawsuit. Have you been in cars that size before?
Yes, I have. I've been in cars smarter than that, you know.
Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man.
She already knew.
I can fit in this car.
No, believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires. You know, I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, you know, like.
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
For every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL.
You know what? I don't never have to order Uber XL.
He apologized, canceled the ride, and left her there. The rapper says she's pretty tough.
I get the money and flip it and make time food.
Dank DeMoss, as she's known at the mic, is crushed by the whole situation.
I just want them to know, like, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like Lyft might be hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is filed. Since she posted the encounter on social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the same thing happened to them.
I can fit in this car.
No, believe me, you can.
Yes, I can. I really want people to see, like, what we go through as bigger people, you know?
We did reach out to Lyft. They did not get back with us in time for this story. Now, Lyft, Uber, those rideshare companies, they can refuse passengers based on a perceived security threat. But according to Deja's attorneys, you cannot discriminate based on someone's weight. It's very clear in that cell phone video. That is why he denied her ride. Reporting live on Detroit's west side, Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
And because these Lyft drivers, their own personal rides, I mean, they turn people away, but they have some discretion, you're saying, but when it comes to some of these protected liberties, no.
That is what the attorneys are saying, and they said they had enough to file suit. They have filed that lawsuit, and Lyft has been served, but we will see what happens. We'll stay in touch with Deja.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said so many people came forward after this, so clearly it's an issue out there right now. Thanks, Jessica.
We just gonna call a thing here. Unfortunately, we know that obesity amongst black women in America, we are 60% higher than any other group. High blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and yet somehow we promote this as an okay thing. Dank DeMoss, who is a rapper, also known as Deja Banlane, was refused a ride in her Uber Lyft. It was her Lyft ride, I think. Unfortunately, they refused the ride because he was in fear that she was too big to get into his vehicle. Now, I understand why he did what he did, but I need black women to understand something. When you are morbidly obese in this instance, morbidly obese, not only do you put yourself at risk, but in instances where ride shares and things like that, you also put their vehicles, their time, and all of those things at risk as well. When she was on the show, Deb's House, I watched every episode, and it was basically a competition for rappers. And Deb had them doing numerous things, from just kind of trying to challenge them, you know, walking, dancing, having to perform in front of strangers. And the sad part was that she wasn't able to do what a lot of the other smaller rappers were. And when I say smaller, I don't mean necessarily skinny, but they were able to walk and do other things that Deb asked them. There were several times throughout filming she had to sit down, or she had to wear a cast, or a boot on her leg because she wasn't able to stand on her feet for long periods of time. Unfortunately, I felt like this was one of the reasons why I think Deb, although she may have said that she was talented, didn't want to continue her on that journey. It was going to be extremely hard for her to continue her career in the house with the other girls who could do everything that was asked of them. Now, Black women, I need you to understand something. Most of us don't necessarily work out as much as we need to or want to sometimes, because it's about sweating our hair out. We don't want to mess up our makeup. We don't want to, there's just all these excuses. And the thing about your health is if you don't take care of it now, at some point you'll be wishing and begging that you had have taken care of your health. This should serve as a reminder that being so big and morbidly obese like this is not okay. And it's not fat shaming. It's simply putting a mirror up and saying, hey, let's take accountability for the way that we look, the things that we've done. When you get this big, unfortunately, is the result of bad food choices, not exercising, and not putting your health first. And one of the things that I would definitely drive home is that it is important that we take care of ourselves, that we eat better, that we exercise more. We're more cognitive of the people that we're around. They don't necessarily coddle us and say things that make us feel good. The lawyer stating, hey, it would have been no different if somebody said, I don't want any blacks in my car, or I don't want any Christians or Muslims. Well, those are things that you normally don't have a choice in. Being black you're just born that way. And your religion, most of the time, that's just how you've grown up. So I just think it's important for us to just look at the bigger picture here and kind of zoom in and say, hey, put it under a microscope, that this is not okay. And I think it's time for her to lose weight. I think it's time for us to call it out and say, hey, it's time for Black women to take accountability for their health, the choices they make, and everything and anything that will affect them long term. But that's just my opinion. Thank you for joining Red Refinery today. Leave your comments, suggestions below. Until our next video, I pray that you are taking care of yourself and always putting yourself first. Thank you for joining me.